Veni Creator Spiritus, mentes tuorum visita, implesso per
From the first letter of Blessed Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians. Brethren, know you not that they that run in the race, all run indeed, but one receiveth the prize? So run that you may obtain. And every one that striveth for the mastery refraineth himself from all things. And they indeed that they may receive a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible one. I therefore so run, not as at any uncertainty. I so fight, not as one beating the air. But I chastise my body, and bring it into subjection, lest perhaps, when I have preached to others, I myself should become a castaway. For I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that your fathers were all under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all in Moses were baptized, in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual food, and drank the same spiritual drink. And they drank of the spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ. But with most of them, God was not well pleased. So run that you may obtain. Everyone that striveth for the mastery refraineth himself from all things. I therefore so run, not as an uncertainty. I fight not as one beating the air, but I chastise my body and bring it into subjection. So St. Paul tells us life in this world is like a great race or training, a fighting, chastising. He's using the analogy of chastising one's body as an athlete in order to strive, to train, to strive, to deny yourself in order to conquer. And there's much that could be said, but I'm going to try to keep this real brief. 3 points I would leave with you. Now, this is the acronym I came up with for the young men at the school. So obviously it applies particularly to men, but could apply, I think, for all of you. The acronym, if you want to live well, beginning now, Septuagesima Sunday through Lent, is Be a Man. Be a man. And each one of the letters of man stands for one of the 3 key efforts. So during Lent, we're called to make voluntary sacrifices, fasting or almsgiving or prayer or all of the above. But in your daily life, regardless of what other efforts you make, these are the 3 keys in many ways to living this time well. The M of man stands for morning. Give God your morning, the first thing in the morning. Give Him prayer first thing in the morning. If you dedicate consistent time to Him, so whether that winds up being the daily morning Mass, whether it's the Rosary first thing in the morning, even before this Rosary perhaps, you have another one, or whether it's reading the Scriptures, whether it's what's called mental prayer, that is spending at least 15 minutes, even more if you can, in something that's not just reciting prayers, but adoring God, meditating on Him, who He is, thinking about Him. However you choose to do so, if you dedicate the first part of your day, the morning, to God, if you make a real effort to give that to Him, that's one of the 3 keys. The second is the letter A, which is active. Be active in charity. So, especially for young men, that also means being physically active and not slothful and doing good things physically, but be active in charity. Often if we feel weighed down or sad, it's because we're not choosing to say, okay, how is Christ calling me to give myself to Him or to the person next to me during my day? So have that active charity, living out of charity, living for love for Him and love for the brother who God has placed next to you. And then the N is for no. And that is saying no to illicit things, to sinful things, saying no to those, but also saying no in denying yourself even some legitimate things. So fasting would be an example of that. But whatever form it may take, denying yourself some sleep to get up a little bit earlier to pray, for example, but saying no to yourself out of love for God and offering that for the salvation of souls. In your daily life, if each day going from now through Easter, if you look at, okay, am I being a man? That is, am I really striving to lay down my life for God in the morning, first thing in the morning? Am I active in charity? Am I saying no? And to the degree that you do those, your soul will begin to open to the graces God wants to give, and also to the peace and joy He wants to give. If you find yourself struggling or weighed down, often it's because we're not putting those three things into practice. So I will leave you with that, and I will look forward to praying the Holy Rosary with you tomorrow. God bless you.